Hello, and welcome to another episode of the 5 Journeys podcast, Live Like You Matter. Our guest today is Wendy Myers. Of course, we love her, A, because her name is Wendy, and B, because she's wicked awesome. She's the founder of MyersDetox.com. She's a doctoral candidate, detox expert, functional diagnostic nutritionist, certified holistic health coach, and bioenergetic practitioner, as well as the #1 best-selling author of Limitless Energy, Limitless Energy, How to Detox Toxic Metals to End Exhaustion and Chronic Fatigue. Wendy is the host of a top 100 rated podcast, the Myers Detox Podcast, about protecting your health with detoxification. Hi, Wendy. Welcome to the show.
How are you doing? Thanks for having me.
Great to have you here.
Pleasure.
All right.
So your topic is kind of near and dear to our heart.
Your topic is our topic. What?
Detox. Yeah.
I'm all about detox.
Oh, yes. It's so important. It's something I think a lot of people miss. It's like that missing piece of the puzzle that so many people just aren't thinking of, or it's like the last thing they get to. And so that's why, for me, it was like such a huge thing for me that helped me turn around my health.
When did you discover detox?
I discovered about 15 years ago when I was preparing to have my child. I started reading all these baby books, about how you need to use organic clothing or organic baby food and don't use toxic cleaners. And I just thought, why hadn't I touched on this before for myself? And I had read about mercury and I had read about lead, but I didn't really think that pertained to me, because I just thought of myself as such a healthy person. I lived such a healthy lifestyle and I ate so healthy and took care of myself. So I just didn't really think that applied to me until I started having some health issues. And I went to the doctor and asked them to kind of just do all the tests, figure out what's wrong. And they found out I had all these hormonal issues, that I had the hormone levels of a menopausal woman at 37. And I thought, and the doctor wanted to put me on hormone replacement therapy. And I just thought, isn't that for women in their late 50s? That's just not how I had envisioned my life. So I went on Dr. Google and, typed in, what causes low hormones. And I kept hitting on toxins and heavy metals and things like that. And I found a website that did hair mineral analysis for toxins and minerals. And I did that test and I had tons of mercury. I had lead, I had arsenic, really high arsenic. And I had other metals that were definitely culprits in interfering in thyroid and hormone function. And for me, it was a real light bulb moment. It was a real turning point in my health. And really, I felt very empowered. I kind of knew what I needed to do, like what my health issues, what it was finally. And now I had to set on what to do about it. And that's where my site, MyersDetox.com, was born, is the research and into heavy metals and toxins. And, almost 450 podcasts later, I'm still talking about it.
Did your hormones improve?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. My hormones are very normal now. And I'm 50. I'm going to be 50 in a month. So yeah, my hormones are doing really good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so profound because when I hit the skids, we talked about this. When I hit the skids, I was like, oh, effing perimenopause. But it wasn't perimenopause. It was hormone. It was toxins.
Yes.
That made it look like cruel and unusual punishment of perimenopause. So it's just so profound, the impact it has. So I feel your pain, sister.
Yes.
All right. So where do you recommend people start when they're looking at detox?
Yes. Well, detox can be very simple, and very complex at the same time. So the simplest thing to do is taking minerals, because minerals will displace heavy metals out of your body. So some people can cause too strong a detox, like their bodies can't handle it for other reasons. But my favorite form of detox is something proactive. A protocol that you can do is an ionic foot bath. I think that's one of the most effective detox tools that people can use. I've had amazing results with that. Yeah.
Can we pause on that? Because that's always been a question of mine, truthfully, because I don't know, like I've seen them and I see stuff come out, but how do you know what that is? And if it's effective, if it's doing your whole body or it's just your feet?
You just imagine you like scooping what comes out and sending it for analysis.
It's been around for a while and it looks cool. And I've seen it. I've been in this world for like 20 years and
You're
I've seen
old,
it around.
dude. You've been around for a while.
Yeah.
But I can never tell, is it actually effective? Like I can never say to patients, yes, this works. This is amazing. Go try it.
All right.
Yeah. In my experience, it's the most effective thing people can do. But it's also something that everyone can do. Like not everyone can do an infrared sauna. A lot of elderly people, very sick people, children can't do an infrared sauna, but they can do an ionic foot bath. And so the company I really like is called AMD, A Major Difference. They make one called Ion Cleanse. They have several studies that show dramatic improvements in different populations, but it's not the stuff coming out in the foot bath. And that's what everyone thinks. No, that's not what's happening. It dramatically increases the output of heavy metals through your urine and stool and even your skin following a few days after doing the ionic foot bath. And it's doing that by frequencies that are being put into the water, that are ejected into the water. So it's not what people think. So they get kind of, it's easy to kind of think, oh, it's what's coming out of the water, but it's not. But there is some stuff coming out of the water. There is, but even radiation comes out. I mean, people can have a Gauss meter that's looking at the foot bath before and after with a Gauss meter. And radiation is even coming out of you when you're doing a foot bath. So there a lot of stuff is coming out, and it's very easy to do. I mean, I've had doctors. Like I have a really esteemed colleague, Dr. Michael Rankin, who's done everything, and he just had never done detox. So he did ionic foot bath, and he had this huge black thing on his arm the size of a quarter. It disappeared within a few weeks of doing the foot bath. He lost 15 pounds. A lot of toxins are stored in your fat tissue. And it just, all that stuff started coming out. And so I personally use one for many years, and it's the first thing that I recommend. But, people need about 200 hours on average.
200 hours.
200 hours. So how often do you do it? I mean, is it an hour a night? I mean, I go in the sauna 4 or 5 nights a week, spend an hour there. Is it that kind of thing that you could just go, okay, you can go stick my feet in the ionic bath now, or is it full body? How does it? Yeah.
And that's what's kind of nice about it is just, you just put your feet in it. So you can do it while you're doing other stuff, working TV. So I did it pretty intensely. I did about 4 foot baths a day. So about 2 hours
Wow.
A day for a period of time. And then now I do a maintenance. I do it just twice a week. So 30-minute sessions twice a week.
And how do you know when you're done?
Well, there's just a 30-minute session that you do. So you know when you're done. I mean, you can do heavy metals testing. I mean, you can track this where whatever method you want. I mean, to look at all of your heavy metals, you need to do hair mineral analysis, urine, and stool, because different metals come out in different exit points in your body. So there's no one perfect test that's going to tell you every metal. So, but if you do those 3 tests, if you really want to get into the biohacking, you can do baseline and then do the foot bath or infrared sauna or both. Do a test every 6 months or a year to see kind of where you're at with your heavy metal load.
So you're saying, because this is a lot of people say they detox, and there's a lot of supplements say they detox. And then when I've tried them, we tend to go towards the provoked urine test as our go-to. They feel better. A lot of different supplements make you feel better, but when you do a provoked test before and after, you don't see much difference. So you're saying with just the ionic bath itself, you can see a difference in a provoked test.
She's doing 6 months though.
I can't say but on a provoked test specifically, because I don't use that one so much. I do hair mineral analysis, and I have seen my metals go down significantly over a period of time, but I've been detoxing for about 10 years. I do have many patients that have been using foot baths and infrared saunas and a combination of things. So I can't attribute their reduction in heavy metal load to any like one particular protocol, because I haven't personally done any kind of study on doing just that one bath. It's not my company. Why would I do that? But that's just what I personally have found in working with patients for 10 years to be the most effective thing.
And you feel it's effect in terms of it makes people feel better. So like you've noticed, it makes a difference for people.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I have seen their metal levels come down, but we have a whole program that we do that includes supplements and diet and the foot bath and infrared sauna. So people do a different combination of things, whatever works for them. We recommend coffee enemas, which make a huge difference for a lot of different people if they have issues with their liver and facilitates detoxification. But there's too many variables going on to attribute it to the one thing. But for me, that's my favorite protocol that I recommend because it's inexpensive, it's the easiest. I personally feel like it's the most effective.
Do you use fiber when you're doing this? We were talking to Joe Pizzorno, who helped found Bastyr University, and he talks all about, like, he has a really simple detox protocol that's all about do DMSA once every couple of days and do fiber, and NAC. That's his protocol. It's like pretty straightforward. And so are you using fiber as you're doing the ionic foot baths? Because then you're dumping it into the gut. If your gut's dysfunctional, you're just going to recycle it and pick it up again.
Absolutely. I do a modified citrus pectin. I have a product I developed called CitraCleanse that has grapefruit citrus pectin in it. So yeah, fiber is super important. And I have my daily detox supplement. It's a organic green superfood. It's got inulin and it has flaxseed powder in it as well. So definitely I'm a big fan of fibers. People don't eat enough fiber because you need that. You need to bulk up your stool. You need a lot of fiber to take heavy metals out of the gut and through the stool. And a lot of people don't do that. They're constipated. That's where, coffee enemas can come in so that you don't reabsorb, retox. I am not a fan of DMSA at all. I mean, all respect to Dr. Joe Pizzorno. He's amazing. But I think DMSA is like dropping a nuclear bomb on someone when you can use something else that's more gentle. And a lot of people, very sick people, cannot handle DMSA, but they need ways to detox as well. There's much better ways to address detoxification and much gentle, natural ways that don't also chelate minerals like calcium, magnesium, and other minerals out of the body.
It's so funny. I always say to people, you're going to feel one of three ways when you do a DMSA provoked test. You're going to feel nothing, in which case I have no idea if you have metals till we get the result. You're going to feel awful, like a truck ran over you, or you're going to feel like amazing, best day you've ever had, super productive. And I fall into that category that the days I do my provoked tests, I like clean the house and feel amazing, but I have patients who feel terrible. Like my mom took it and slept for 24 hours. So
yeah, I mean, it's fine for a provoked test, but I mean, like long-term for a detox strategy, some people can become very, very ill from doing that for even a month or two. So everyone's different. You just have to be careful.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing is everyone is different.
There has been a lot of people come to us after going too fast.
Yeah.
And when you go too fast, it's a problem. And a lot of people do just DMSA without any support. And we do use DMSA, but we have a lot of support around it.
Yeah.
A lot of people use DMSA and don't have any support around it. And that's when you get into real trouble.
Yeah. And I agree. People have to know what they're doing. There's a big difference between someone taking DMSA and doing it themselves and being under the supervision of a doctor. That's a much different animal. But yeah, and it's not a race. Detox is not a race. It's more of like a lifestyle. And that's what I try to communicate with people. We're not trying to get to the finish line. There isn't really a finish line because you have decades of toxins that have built up and you're exposed to new ones every single day. So you have to think of it more as a lifestyle change as your diet and supplements and detox protocols. You kind of have do it more intensely for 2-3 years, maybe more if you're ill. And you want to have a maintenance program or schedule that you're doing to kind of keep your body clean and healthy.
Yeah, I think you bring up an amazing point because people think, 2 weeks, 2 months, they're done.
Yeah.
And it takes years sometimes.
And people get impatient. They want to feel better fast, but, healing and getting better, it's like the stock market. You don't have this upward trajectory. Like everything just goes up and it's amazing. You kind of go up, you feel better, and then it crashes, and you go up and it crashes. But it's going in this general upward trajectory, but it's not happening on your timeline in 2 to 3 months. That isn't reality when you have, decades of toxins and lead and glyphosate and other heavy metals that have been building up in your tissues, in your fat, in your brain, they're just not going to come out in 2 to 3 months.
I'm smiling because a patient yesterday said she's 64 and she's really sick. Like she has a lot of medical issues. I mean, she had a stroke at like 38, right? So she's not the healthiest. And she's come really far, but she's like, when am I going to be done? I'm like, dude, you're never going to be done. This is not an end. This is a journey, not a destination. Yeah. You're never going to be done. And think about where you were 3 years ago when we started. You were a hot freaking mess. Now you're just kind of messy. Distinct from, you're not a hot mess, you're just messy. It's different. It's an improvement on the messy scale. So she didn't like that answer, actually.
No. I like this idea of an ionic bath because I'm just thinking of, I have two, right now I have two really sick young people. 17.
Three. Yep.
Okay, 3. I'm thinking of 2. We'll stay with 2 for now. One person can't get out of bed. Another person was a 3 and 17-year-old. Another person was a athlete, 3 sport athlete, Division I athlete, now has muscle wasting and she's 25, and she can barely move. So, and one I know just came back with a really bad burden of metals, and ionic bath is a really easy way to go.
Yeah,
I like that as a start.
Yeah, and some people, they just can't do saunas. They don't have the room for them. They can't afford them. They can't tolerate heat. They're too old. They're too sick. They're perfect candidates for a foot bath, for sure.
Do people react?
If they don't react like they do with saunas. So I'm always a fan of doing binders, doing, the citrus pectins and things like that while you're doing a foot bath. That's really smart, just to reduce detoxification symptoms, so, but it's not as bad as like a sauna per se. But a majordifference.com. So majordifference.com. You can get lots of info, and they're a great customer service, and they will give you all the details and studies that they've done and things like that.
No, we're totally going to do that.
All right. Now that you turned us on to this, give us the next 3 things that you love to do to detox.
Yeah, you are shameless.
Yeah.
This is how we learn. I mean,
yeah. So another really cool one, I don't have the water right here, but there's a water called Wata. And that's a really easy detox as well. It's not super cheap. It starts adding up, but it's a water. You can get it on Amazon or aquanew.com. So it's Wata, WATTAHH. So it's a polarized electron.
It's a Boston water.
Yeah, it's a Boston water. So it's a polarized water. So the guy that developed it, his name is Rob Worley. He infuses hydrogen, oxygen, and electrons into this water. And it is phenomenal. You have to be careful with it because it can detox you really, really fast. They have tons of studies on their website to show they've had like dentists were super crazy mercury, and their metal loads come down super fast with this water. But you have to be careful with it. So we need to drink maybe a couple of tablespoons a day of it.
Wow.
So it's not a chug it down.
No, do not chug it. But it also starts getting oxygen to your brain. So you get kind of like a high. Like I started drinking, I had a high for about 4 days where I was just like skipping down the road. I was so happy because my brain was finally getting oxygen. So and more hydrogen, which we all need. But a lot of people taking hydrogen tablets, they're great, but they also need oxygen with the hydrogen. So there's kind of, you can't just take hydrogen tablets. You need oxygen as well. And a lot of people are ungrounded today because of EMF. So their bodies just don't work properly. We need to be negatively charged. So our body just starts working better and detoxing better when you have drinking this water with lots of electrons. There's a lot of different ways to ground your body, but this water is particularly effective at grounding you and detoxing you.
I wonder if it's good for cardiovascular patients who have like microvascular disease and end organ and peripheral vascular disease.
Don't forget they're all toxic too.
Yeah,
they're all toxic.
But they also reduces calcifications as well. It's unbelievable, this stuff. I mean, I've had a girlfriend of mine, she had a stroke, a pretty serious stroke. She was out of the hospital in 2 days. Drinking this water. I mean, it has phenomenal results, even with diabetic patients, because it's the oxygen, but the limb that has like a sore on it, it just won't heal. But the limb under the water, it oxygenizes those tissues. It's really phenomenal. And they have, like I said, tons and tons and tons of studies and testimonials on aquanew.com.
You want some water?
Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to try all these things.
He's my boyfriend. He sends me everything I want and he never complains. I got my husband and I got lots of boyfriends, one of whom delivers everything to my house.
Well, I mean, I think water in general, H2O, is severely underappreciated as a unique molecule that we talk about getting rid of any toxins out of the water. Of course, that's needed. But what you're talking about, there is different structured water. Water has different potentials and energies that I think maybe the researchers out there, but nobody appreciates it.
You sound like Rodney Dangerfield. You just don't appreciate me.
Yeah.
No respect.
Yeah. And that's how saunas work. I mean, they increase the easy water in your interstitial tissues. So they, that gel-like water in your tissues. And that's why infrared saunas are so helpful to reduce your like blood pressure and other benefits that we get with the sauna, is increasing that EZ water.
I keep thinking, I get in the sauna and I wear this all organic cotton tank top that I bought. And it's not pretty, but it works, right? It's just absorbing. And every time I get out, I'm like, God, I stink. I've been doing this for a year and a half, right? I'm like, maybe I won't stink as much someday, but I still stink. And it just bugs me. But then I'm thinking, okay, better out than in. But to your point of you're never done, I never stop stinking in the sauna. Neither do you, by the way. So don't start with me. I can already see a snarky comment.
No comment.
Yeah, I had one period where I smelled really fishy in the sauna because I used to eat a lot of sushi. I mean, I still do occasionally, we all pick our poison, but, I ate a lot of sushi and I had tons of mercury coming out. When it comes out, it's a little fishy smelling. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. All right. What's number 3?
Yes. So number 3, infrared sauna. So that's my number 3 kind of favorite.
Do you feel like something is better than nothing? If you can't do it perfectly, better to do something. A sauna blanket's better than not doing anything, and a sauna pod's better than a sauna blanket, and then a full on, near mid far. So basically, do what you can in terms of infrared sauna stuff. Okay.
Yeah. When I started, I went to like my little Pilates place, had an infrared sauna, and I just did that once a week. And then I had my handyman make a bulb sauna that I put in my shower. And then, eventually I graduated to a nicer sauna, but I actually like both. I like the bulb, the far, they call them near infrared, but actually the bulbs emit mostly far infrared. I like the bulb saunas and I like the regular far infrared saunas. So I kind of go back and forth between both of those because they have little different benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And all detox is better than no detox.
Yeah, for sure.
Just be gentle.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Talk to me. Do you have a question? Because I had a question.
No, it's going to go 4 to 5. I mean,
okay, you can go 4 to 5. Go ahead. Put her on the spot. That's so nice.
Anything else that you want?
Do you want some water while we're talking?
Yeah, I want. Yeah. Can you order that now so that we can get it by tomorrow?
Good. So. It is good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, it's as far as detoxification, like I mentioned before, it's not a race, and I really urge people to, because of the level of toxins we have in our environment. You need to be thinking about this. This has to be part of your health regimen because you're not exempt from it. It's not possible. We have 140,000 chemicals in our environment. We have dozens of heavy metals. There's so much research out there to show how, and it's all on my website and yours as well, Wendy, all these toxins contribute to every imaginable health symptom. So at one point, your number is going to come up where you're going to reach this tipping point and the toxins are going to be affecting either your mitochondria or your brain or your pancreas or whatever your genetic weak link is. So you need to be thinking about this now before a diagnosis, not when you get sick. And right now, a lot of people they're just tired. They're a little bit brain fogged. Maybe their hormones, they don't have any libido or something is going on with them and they're young, and that's your body sending you messages that you need to act. You need to figure out what's going on and do something. And the likelihood that toxins are contributing to these things are pretty high. Statistically, it's very high. So you have to be adding detoxification to your health regimen if you plan to be healthy and live a long, healthy life.
It's so hard, Wendy, when you talk about this, because I just read this great line. I don't know who said it, but it was people have two lives, their first life, and then the life that they start living when they realize they only have one. And so that moment that happens for people is usually because something's wrong. It's very rare. And I'm sure you see this in your practice too, that it's very rare someone comes in and says, I feel amazing, do everything, right? They see, I feel like crap, untangle me. And so when you talk about what you're saying is about detox, I'm like, absolutely. People need to be taking detox seriously, making it a part of their daily regimen. And unfortunately, if you feel amazing, you're probably not listening. You're not doing prevention because you haven't recognized that it's key to longevity and peak performance. So now we're talking to the sick people. Basically, if you have anything, if you don't wake up feeling amazing, you got something, congratulations, you've got toxins.
Yeah. Yeah. And on another note, I've worked with patients doing detoxification for over 10 years and, studied it for much longer. But, there's a lot of people out there doing everything physically for their health. There's a lot of people out there doing the diet, doing the supplements, doing the exercise, doing the stress reduction, the yoga, and even detoxification perhaps, and still wake up feeling like crap, or emotionally, they don't wake up feeling good and can't really figure out why based on all their effort. And this is certainly me at a certain point. And so I started getting more into emotional detoxification and on my own personal health journey. And I discovered this bioenergetic program called Ness Health that helped me kind of open that door. But there's many ways to address trauma or emotional trauma or do an emotional detox. And for me, I found that I was doing everything right. I just didn't feel good mentally. I had 10 years of therapy and I read all the books and I started doing this bioenergetic program, which is kind of just sending frequencies to your body to release, energetic blocks and clear your chakras and clear your meridians. And part of that involved releasing and addressing emotional traumas that we have. And I could not believe how much better I felt. I had bulimia and it literally stopped within 2 months of doing this program because the underlying impetus, whatever trauma was there or negative emotion or whatever was going on, cleared. And so the resultant behavior or compulsion cleared as well with that. It really took me aback. And it really got me more interested in researching this. And that was about 6 years ago. And I started researching a lot more about emotional trauma. And I created a course called the Emotional Detox Program that really delves into, it's a 30-hour course and delves into all the conventional medical research behind, why we have emotional traumas, all the research that behind this, and also the different tools like sound therapy and bioenergetics that can be successfully used to address trauma. And all I took from all the research of Professor Bessel van der Kolk, who's Your Body Keeps the Score, Louise L. Hay, I just, Dr. Dietrich Klinghardt, so many different, Gabor Mate, so many different experts in emotional trauma and mind-body medicine to create this course. But so for me, when anyone listening out there that has done everything for their health physically, and they just still are like, there's just something more out there. I know it. I'm missing something. It's usually emotional trauma because the research does show that 65% or more of physical health issues are caused by emotional traumas that we're carrying around with us.
Yeah. That's a lot.
That's a large percent. I mean,
it's huge.
I don't know how I can relate enough because whatever we can eat the best diets, we can do the best things in the world. And if we've got something that's running in the background, which all of us do, if we haven't worked through it and continue to work through it constantly, we talk about stress. That's stress. Like if we're living from our past, from whatever happened in our past, and not living in the moment, then
Right. I'm just thinking about this slide that I did for a presentation where, on the top of it is your genetics and your epigenetics, and the bottom of it is your environment, all the stuff you're exposed to. But the sandwich, the meat of the sandwich is eating, sleeping, pooping, moving your body, thinking, being related to others, that it's so often ignored that a critical part of your health is how you speak to yourself and think about yourself, how you relate to yourself, and then how you relate to others and where you exist in the fabric of society. And that not existing and feeling like you belong is very toxic. And God, just yesterday was a big patient day, apparently. And I was talking to another patient and she was saying to me, she and I have worked a lot on, she's so hard on herself, like so unkind. That ticker tape is just constant, like, you're bad, you're dumb, you're wrong, you're stupid. How could you do that? And so I said to her, I really can't help you till we start to have you speak kinder to yourself, because you're like, see yourself through my lens as opposed to your lens, whatever that lens is that you've created, because it's super disempowering. And I see you as this driven, inspiring human who's out to make a difference. And she's like, okay, I'll take it on. But it's really hard to interrupt those constant conversations. And I think a lot of those are born from past events where we decided something about ourselves.
Yeah. And it's tough because you can't just positive affirmation your way out of that.
Nope.
You can't just look in the mirror and be like, I love you, and think positive. And
nope.
I think we've tried, a lot of people have tried that. And because the issue
is,
it
works for some very small amount of people. It works.
Yeah.
Like everything else.
Yeah. But on top of that, it's what you practice, you become. So of course you want to speak kindly to yourself because, I'm 51 and a half. I love the half, right? I'm 51 and a half. I've been practicing things. And so what I want to do is pivot and practice things that are empowering and inspiring. So obviously that's going to make me more effective, but simultaneously you do need to untangle if there's a trauma.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because a lot of that self-talk that comes from childhood development trauma or parental attachment trauma, where we had a caregiver that was emotionally, physically, or, verbally or sexually abusive, or a parent that was neglectful, or a primary caregiver. And this negative self-talk kind of was ingrained in us, not that we're just even speaking to ourselves that way. It can become a core part of your personality, where you just walk around with self-hatred and worthlessness and powerlessness all the time. And that's why I say some of the positive affirmations maybe work on a shallow level, but on a much deeper level, we have these negative emotions that we need to release, that can be released actually very easily with sound therapy and with other kind of methods, like with music, with frequencies in them, with bioenergetic software and things that I talk about in my emotional detox program. But, there's 5 core emotions that everyone has that they need to work on, and they may not be aware of it. A lot of this stuff is it's unconscious or it's subconscious. Yeah, we're not aware of it. Like for me, I thought I'd had 10 years of therapy. I've worked on all this stuff, and I worked through my parental issues, but yapping doesn't work for emotional trauma, for childhood attachment trauma, developmental trauma, whatever you want to call it. Professor Bessel van der Kolk, who's the world's 40 years of research on emotional trauma, that's kind of his phrase, yapping doesn't work because it doesn't address a lot of these traumas we dealt with before we were able to speak, before we were able to intellectualize things and think about things, conceptualize things. These things happen before we could talk, so we can't talk our way out of them or intellectualize them in therapy. Though therapy is great, I'm a huge advocate for therapy. I've had a lot myself, but to really get to that root cause of why we have negative self-talk and addictions, and get into bad relationships and all of these behaviors that people engage in that are from the root causes, this childhood developmental trauma, or even other types of trauma like one-off events, sexual assaults, or physical abuse in a relationship, or war, going to war, that are kind of induced PTSD. All of these types of issues can be addressed really fairly simply with sound therapy, because all of these traumas lie in our energy field. that's where the research has shown, this is conventional medical research also, just FYI, these things that can't find traumas or emotions in the brain and the neurons anywhere in our body, it's in our energy field. And that's where they need to be addressed. And there's no talking required, no intellectualizing. No, you don't even have to know what type of trauma you have. Nothing. All you have to do is something called biofield tuning, or there's other methods I talk about in my course, but that's the biofield tuning is the sound therapy you can do at home. It's inexpensive, and you can do it as much as you like. So that, I think, a lot of people can't afford talk therapy. They can't afford different types of therapies and protocols. So this just, for me, I wanted to help people find a way that was inexpensive, something they could do at home, that was practical and super effective and supported by the conventional medical research.
Can they harm themselves in any way doing it?
No, with biofield tuning, you do not re-traumatize yourself. You do not relive the traumas or anything of that nature. However, like any kind of detox method, you can have an intensification of different emotions that you're trying to release, but they have to come up and out. And so I do have in the course how to manage emotional and physical detox symptoms that can come up. Biofield tuning also detoxes heavy metals. Interestingly enough, it's a very effective detox method. So we talk about all that, getting into water. Emotions release very easily in water, in salt water, Epsom salt baths, or in the ocean is very, very effective way of releasing.
Well, that's bioenergetic. I mean, an Epsom salt bath is a bioenergetic event because the magnesium acts on the bioenergetic. And Bill was explaining this to me. Yeah. I heard the magnesium is very effective and it releases, and that was like I was like a dog, he said. I heard the start and end of his sentence, but
he's an osteopath.
Oh yeah, he's like one of the top 3 osteopaths in the country, and he was talking to me. He says every patient should do magnesium Epsom salt baths because of the bioenergetics of it. And
well, it creates a biomagnetic field. Period.
Yes. Okay.
So.
Like what he said.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm going to add to what you're saying. I don't know sound therapy, so I'm going to say that sounds like amazing. I do think trauma is also stored in the body, and working through body work. I know I do it through martial arts. My teacher keeps trying to
I go to my trainer
to be straight and release certain muscles, and when I do that,
you're a real grumpy little booger when he does that, man.
Yeah. I get a lot of emotions come out, and they're not specific to any event per se, but they're just so I think there's a lot of different ways.
I haven't noticed here.
No, I'm sure you haven't noticed.
No, and I agree. And that's why in my course, we have a bioenergetic module that includes sound therapy. There's a psychology module that goes into mindset and dealing with other people and all, dealing with stress, vagus nerve, and all that kind of, so your stress set point and addressing that. And there's a physical module that goes into all the physical aspects of releasing emotional trauma, because you have to be healthy and have a healthy body. And there's a lot of different aspects. So yeah, there's 3 different components that do need to be addressed. It can't just be one thing.
Yeah, that's great. Cool. And you can find that's on your website?
Yeah. So you can go to emo-detox.com. And there's actually a free masterclass that you can take that goes in more in depth about this and sound therapy as well.
Where can people find out more about you? Can you, and we'll put everything in the show notes, but can you sort of rattle off, because you just rattled off emo-something.
Yes.
Can you repeat that one more time, and where people can find you?
Yes. emo-detox.com is if you want to learn more about addressing emotional trauma or just stress in general, negative emotions, releasing all that. And my website is myersdetox.com. And you can find me all over social media, YouTube at Myers Detox. YouTube is Wendy Myers, but everything else is Myers Detox, all the social media.
Cool.
Sweet. Anything else we should know or you want to share that? Well,
I think that's it.
I mean, we covered a lot.
Yeah, we did a lot of work.
Awesome. All right. Covered a lot of ground.
All right, so I'm going to close the show, apparently.
Yes, apparently you.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of the 5 Journeys podcast, Live Like You Matter. Our guest today was Dr. Wendy. Where'd that come from? I just gave you a doctorate. Are you
I am. No, I am now. I am.
You are?
Yes.
Okay, well, then I'll add that back in. Okay, thanks for joining us for another episode of the 5 Journeys podcast, Live Like You Matter. Our guest today was Dr. Wendy Myers. And if you like the show, found it inspiring, empowering, and helpful, please give us a 5-star review, pay it forward, share it with your friends.
It's been amazing. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for being here.
And I know I learned a lot, so thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks for having me.